Okay, so this is a recent IELTS question. In some cultures, the old age is more valued, while in others, youth is more valued. Discuss both views and give your opinion. So we have two sides in this question. In some cultures, this is a cultural question. In some cultures, old are more valued than youth, while in others, youth is more valued than old people. So as usual, body paragraph 1 is on view 1, that why old are more valued than youth, and body paragraph 2 is on view 2, why youth is more valued than old. Remember, as we'll discuss soon, that you have to develop proper arguments. They should be developed in a manner that is logical, that is complete in nature. Let us come to the introduction. What is the purpose of the introduction? Introduction is meant to lay a plan that you plan to discuss, that you plan to explain in the body paragraphs. So introduction mentions the reasons supporting each view. So you need to mention the reasons supporting view 1 and mention the reasons supporting view 2, and then you need to state your opinion, since it's to discuss both views and give your opinion essay. So a few cultures, this is the first sentence, a few cultures allocate a higher value to elderly people since they have an extensive experience of various social systems. So here I have briefly mentioned the reason supporting view 1 that I will plan to explain, that I'm planning to explain in body paragraph 1. While others give more importance to youth since it has more energy and potential to lead a community. So I have used two connecting devices, since, while, since, or you can use here because or as. So the purpose here is that in one sentence I've mentioned both views, I've mentioned the reasons in support of both views. Then the second sentence is my opinion. State your opinion. I think both young and old have expertise in different domains and they should be valued accordingly. Now, why should old people have more value than youngsters? Let us explore this point. Old people have more value than youngsters. What could be the reason? As I've mentioned here, old people have an extensive experience of various social systems. What do I mean by that? Old people usually have more knowledge or understanding, more knowledge and understanding of social systems. And what do social systems consist of? They consist of practices, customs, rituals. Um, whichever country you belong to, you must have realized that old people are usually more religious, more spiritual. They have a better understanding of mythology, and sometimes history of a nation, of a country, of a culture. So some large countries such as India, China, United States may have thousands of cultures. So old people have a deep understanding of traditions, and they are able to maintain those traditions, which youngsters in the modern age, in the age of industrialization, do not give much attention to. So while youngsters are more focused towards earning, they're more focused towards earning, they're more focused towards dollars. Old people have a balanced view. They're concerned about money, but they also have some knowledge of an understanding of mythology, history, traditions, and these are equally important in a society because they help in maintaining a unique cultural identity of a community. So, for instance, what separates Japanese from Chinese? What do you mean by existence of a Japanese? What do you mean by being a Japanese? And how are you different from Chinese? So that's your unique cultural identity. How are Indians different from Bangladeshis? Similarly, how are Canadians different from the United States people? from the Americans. So they have a unique cultural identity of a community. Within Canada, there are Indians, there are um, um, British people, there are French Canadians. Everybody has a unique cultural identity. So if you are in Canada, you can be an Indian, the ancient Indians. I'm not talking about the South Asian Indians, the ancient Indians who were the original inhabitants of Canada. Then there can be British Canadians, the white Canadians. Among white Canadians, there are French Canadians, there are German Canadians. There are different communities in Canada. And how are these communities different from each other? Through unique cultural identity. Okay, each has different practices, different language, different methods of following religion, and how are these maintained through old people? Youth is rarely concerned about unique cultural identity. That's what I've written. Otherwise, the onslaught of Western food, clothing, language, people will lose their unique existence and will be assimilated into the Western culture. So I'm talking from the perspective of the Eastern cultures. For instance, then I've given an example. While youngsters in India prefer wearing jeans and consume junk food. Now, note that I have mentioned brands and I've mentioned names, nouns, common nouns, jeans, consume junk food, India. Okay, so this is how you build an example. So there's a context. We're talking about Indians, we're talking about Western things, jeans and junk food. So this is Western culture. At McDonald's, the elderly preserve the Gujarati, Punjabi, I'm sorry for that, JABI, and Tamil traditional dresses and food. Youngsters realize the importance of these items once they enter the mid-age. And in body paragraph 2, I have explained how why in some cultures youth are more important than old people. Remember that youth are agents of change. They bring change, they bring a new direction, they bring a new direction to a society, to a new culture, to economy. They are leaders for the future. So that's exactly what I've written. Youth have tremendous energy and can assume leadership roles to lead a culture in a new direction. The elderly members of a community are sometimes too rigid and resist necessary change. Now, as discussed in the previous body paragraph, elderly preserve culture. They preserve culture. They preserve it as it is. And sometimes that preservation is not healthy for society. So you must have seen that in some Eastern cultures, or sometimes even in Western cultures, there are decadent cultural norms. So let me call them decadent cultural norms. So what are these decadent cultural norms? These cultural norms are those that are injurious to society, but they're part of the culture. So, for instance, not empowering women. So, even in West, there was a suffragettist movement for providing voting rights to women. There are sometimes even people of color backgrounds, particularly in North America, particularly blacks and people of colored skin, they are not given the same rights. There have been many cases of um, violating their human rights as well. So there are decadent cultural norms which sometimes old people preserve, but youth are ready to give up. They want new direction, they want some change. These are transformed, only once the youth is given the power to introduce a positive change. And that's what I have done with an example from India. There was a decadent practice of sati in which when a woman's husband died, there's a woman, there's a man, there's a wife and a husband. And when the husband died, on his funeral pyre, the woman had to sacrifice her life. She was burnt alive. And that was considered a holy thing. That was considered a holy thing. So it was the youth in early part of 20th century that actually, you know, did violated this practice and they decided to end this practice. The old people were staunchly in support of this tradition, but young leaders, they made people aware about the wrong effects, the bad effects of such a practice. So this is how the youth is more important than old people. So I hope you liked this video. There were some words that you could learn, and there were some ideas to tackle this youth and old question. Um, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow my website for latest IELTS questions. Thank you for watching.